Hello, welcome to the Cinema Lounge podcast, where we just chill and talk about movies. I am your host, Garrett, and I am all by myself. Don't want to be all by myself. I am quoting a song, but it is in fact factual that I am all by myself, and I am operating this entire recording by myself. Yep, I'm Garrett. Brock is away. We have gone off to our separate schools, and he was not available to record an episode this weekend because he was spending it with his girlfriend for Valentine's Day. I'm recording this a week in advance, but that's still true. He decided to celebrate Valentine's Day a week early, and what do you know? We are talking about a rom-com movie for Valentine's Day. What are we talking about? We are talking about To All the Boys I Loved Before, and because I am all alone for Valentine's Day, or when Brock is celebrating it, I figured, why not just rub salt in the wound and watch a rom-com where people get to live happily ever after. So yeah, I apologize for last week's episode. I really liked Brock and I's discussion, but unfortunately, I ignored basic camera functions like a grid, the camera grid, or having awful audio. So hopefully that is all fixed by this episode. If not, we are going to continue trying. I am no tech whiz. I just like talking about movies and writing them. I'm a creative person, not a technical person, which, might not be the greatest thing for this. But, we'll survive. Yeah, we recorded that episode about 4 weeks ago, and yeah, a lot has changed since then. Namely, if you recall last episode, I said I had not seen The Mandalorian yet. I have now started The Mandalorian, so I'm happy with myself on that. I've seen 4 episodes of it, and I'm enjoying it quite a bit. We might talk about that at a later date, but instead, I am talking about high schoolers falling in love when I myself am a single 20-year-old. Yeah, so To All the Boys I Loved Before was directed by Susan Johnson. Might as well shout her out. I don't think she has done anything else. I'm just looking at information on my phone because I did not write any of this down. But yeah, Susan Johnson directed this movie. She has also directed a couple other movies I've never heard of. But I surprisingly enjoyed this. I honestly did. I've heard very mixed things about Noah Centineo Netflix rom-com movies, and this being my first one, I think I picked a good first one. I decided to watch this just because, Valentine's Day weekend, rom-coms, love, that kind of stuff. But also, To All the Boys 3 is coming out soon. I think maybe next week even, or this week, whenever you're listening to it. It's coming out soon. So I decided to start catching up on clearly the most popular trilogy of all time among preteens and teenagers. But I surprisingly enjoyed it. Let me pull up my notes real quick. The first thing that I noticed was the letters gimmick. So it seems like a lot of these preteen YA rom-com type deals tend to have a gimmick. I mean, you look at The Kissing Booth, which I have not seen, and I kind of want to see it at some point just for bragging rights that I managed to not die watching The Kissing Booth. But you got something like The Kissing Booth where the gimmick is they meet during them setting up a kissing booth and that kind of stuff. There's always these types of gimmicks where there has to be that one thing that kind of sets it apart from all the other rom-coms. And this one was that the main character wrote letters to the guys she fell in love with. And I kind of like the idea. It's a little, I mean, it's clearly a bit gimmicky, but I kind of like the idea that she didn't know how to process her feelings out loud, and that she almost, the way I saw it was like a bit of therapy. She didn't know how to process her feelings with boys, and she kept passing up those opportunities to pursue a relationship with them, even even in like the 6th grade. But in order to process it, she just decided to write a letter to them and basically just dump out all of her feelings and then lock it away. And I liked it, and I think I connected with that a little bit, as I am the type of I am the type of person who needs to talk about everything. That is why I started this podcast. Because before, whenever I would watch a movie, I would talk to myself about it, and people assumed I was insane. So I understand the need to have an outlet to express what you're feeling and what you're thinking without directly talking to the people you have that feeling towards and that kind of stuff. And I enjoyed that little gimmick. Unfortunately, as I realized once the movie was kind of wrapping up, those letters really don't play any big role in the movie as a whole. It's kind of like used to set up the movie, set up the rest of the narrative, and then it comes in at the end as this nice thematic conclusion where you can't just keep writing letters to yourself. At some point, you're going to have to confront your feelings, confront those people head on. And I like that. I like that thematic messaging. The unfortunate thing is that the letters aren't really like addressed outside of the end and the beginning. Once the letters get mailed out, they kind of just become a non-thing, and she starts pursuing her relationship with Noah Centineo. I don't remember the name of the character. I'm just going to call him Noah Centineo. But she just pursues the relationship with the one guy, and I think it's a missed opportunity. It would have been an interesting and more unique rom-com if she had to confront every person she sent a letter to, not like in an indirect way with like the character of Lucas, who she sent the letter to because they went to prom together, something like that, but where she actually has to sit down and talk out her feelings with each boy and gradually kind of whittles down the ones that she starts feeling genuine feelings for. That would create more tension, more conflict, and it would have made the character of Josh a lot more relevant, because as it is, the man really just has nothing to do except kind of, I don't know, complain about stuff, but then immediately have his complaints met. I don't know. I guess since I'm talking about the characters, I'm going to jump into the characters, but first, let's shout out the cast. We got this movie starring Lana Condor, who you might know as Jubilee from X-Men Apocalypse, the you remember that one, the most memorable X-Men movie. But I actually recognized her. There was a show she did that she starred in, and it was on the Sci-Fi Channel, lasted for one season, that I was very sad got canceled, but it was called Deadly Class, with like Benedict Wong and other actors that I do not recognize. But that's where I knew her from. So she plays like this really brooding, like Yakuza type character. And it was just funny to have that picture in my head. And in watching this, where she's just this dorky junior high schooler. So it was just kind of a funny thing to watch, because I think this was made after or during the time she was doing Deadly Class. So that was just a funny thing for me. But you also got, let's see. You got Janelle Parrish, who is famous for Pretty Little Liars, King Bach, from Vine, and Noah Centineo, famous for being traditionally attractive. Honestly, it boggles my mind, because I remember when he started first putting out these random rom-com movies, and everyone was just talking about how bad they were, and how I don't even think he was like a TikTok star, like a big social media type person. He was just literally just famous for being attractive. And he somehow managed to get movies on that, which is funny. But I'm gonna be honest, I liked him in this. His character was very likable. He could have played like a traditional jock douchebag character, but he was quite likable. He seems just like a guy trying to do the right thing, trying to figure out his place in the world, and he just finally clicks with this one girl. And the way it was kind of playing out, it almost seemed like he just concocted this whole scheme in order to go in this roundabout way to see if a relationship with the main character, Lana Jean would work rather than, oh, I'm trying to get back with my girlfriend. It felt more like, well, I want to try out a relationship with this girl, but I don't know how I want to pursue it. So I'm just going to pretend, I'm going to suggest we pretend a relationship and see how that would work. And the reason I say that is the first party they go to together as a couple, doing quotations, he gets a chance to win back his ex, right? She confronts him, and he just seems to not be having it at all. He's just like, man, this woman's giving me a hard time for no reason. Like, he's just washing his hands. She barges into the bathroom and just starts berating him, steals the scrunchie that LJ, I'm just going to call her LJ gave to him, and then just walks out. And it's like, this girl is just not a good person, and he clearly knows that. He does not like her. And then after that, they go to the coffee shop and just talk and just hang out and talk. And even then, he just seems to have this disdain for his ex, and it just left me thinking, why the heck is he trying to get back with her if he clearly does not, he can't even stand her? And as the movie kind of progressed, I think from the beginning, his plan was just, I want to try out a relationship with her to see if it works. So I'm just going to pretend to have a pretend relationship, I guess. And if that's how that was intended, that was pretty clever and subtle. If not, I'm reading way too much into a rom-com made for people significantly younger than me. And honestly, it could go either way, I think. But no, Noah did a good job here. I quite enjoyed him. I think the whole cast did a pretty good job. You have the little sister and the dad. I thought they were just funny. Like they had some solid characters in there that were just like comedic relief. They had nothing to do with the main romantic plot line. They were just kind of there as support characters. Especially the dad, who he just seems to be all right with whatever his daughter does. And he made me laugh a couple of times. But then they have a really good scene in the diner where he just gets to talk about his late wife and his daughter's late mom, and just get to have a moment where they get to appreciate something that she liked doing, something she did together. And it's a sweet moment that touched a little close to home for me. It was a sweet little moment. I'm a mama's boy. So I just appreciate that kind of stuff. I like seeing good fathers in movies. It's just something that I like seeing. But yeah, I mean, this it's going to be hard to have someone not to bounce off with, banter with, but I'm going to try to be consistent with these regardless of if I'm alone or not. But yeah, it was just a great movie. It was a solid movie. I'm not gonna go quite with great yet, cause I'm gonna get to this later. But the third act was just not good for me. I was digging it. I was vibing with it up until the third act. But I mean, you start out with this, and it's just, you latch onto this girl immediately, cause she has this bubbly energy to her. She's this awkward teenager who's trying to figure out her life, but she seems like a genuinely good person. You can latch on to her really well. She has a nice family unit. I kind of noticed some shots that I really enjoyed. Like, there's some. This is weird for me to say about a rom-com, but there were some really good shots in there that I just really like. Off the top of my head, you have like shots like at the party whenever they're having a conversation. It just cuts to like a single shot, and I just really enjoyed the aesthetics of that, where they're having this conversation, cutting to a single shot, and it just gave me like almost this Wes Anderson vibe to me. I don't know if that clicked with anyone else, but for me, it kind of brought that fun, quirky, awkward vibe to it, with the character just directly in center frame. And I really enjoyed some of those shots. There's also there was also a shot that wasn't really subtle, but it still worked for the aesthetic, where Noah Centineo and LJ have this culmination, their first fight in their fake relationship, and they're walking down the hallway, and they stop at the door, like right before the doorway, and there's like the divider pole, and you have LJ in one square, Noah Centineo in the other, and it's visually nice. Like, it's not subtle at all, but it looks nice, and I appreciate that. But it's a really good looking movie. Going through the notes some more. From the beginning, I noted that I thought LJ was about to be in this love triangle between Noah Centineo and Josh, her neighbor who dated her older sister, but then her older sister breaks up with him, and that whole thing just felt pointless, because I thought it was going to be like a love triangle, that type of thing, but he's just kind of there as the supportive best friend. I could probably just list off every scene Josh was in, and he could be completely inconsequential. Like, the only thing he helps with is the scene where we bring out Noah Centineo's love letters to LJ, and she realizes, oh, like, I need to seize the day, carpe diem, gotta go get my man if I want him. I can't just be writing letters anymore. And he helps play a part in that, because he was her first love. And that scene works well enough, but outside of that, Josh just feels like he has no purpose. Because he breaks up with the older sister, and then he's just kind of there. He comes up to the house and says, I got your love letter. She goes, well, I don't want to talk to you. She just kind of tosses him aside. And then the next time we see him, she's explaining everything to him. And now he's in the know. And then the next scene is, I don't even remember, but just towards the end, the third act, he's just needlessly there to cause more more conflict and more, oh no, I can't believe you would do this. And I'll get to that later. I want to get to that later, because if anything, that's my big issue with this movie, because it goes smoothly, and I get you have to have some conflict. You have to have this tension. But I think the setups with everything of the fake relationship and do they really want to commit to this works well enough to where we don't need to add in some needless melodrama. But yeah, Josh was just kind of a non-character, and I think I checked IMDb. It doesn't even seem like he's in the next one, the second movie, the Squeakquel. It doesn't even seem like he's in it. So apparently the writers just recognized this Josh guy is just not important at all. Like, he doesn't serve there for any comedic purposes. He doesn't really serve a narrative purpose. He's just kind of there to look like a sickly Noah Centineo. he looks almost like identical to Noah Centineo, except he's lanky, more pale, and I think he has bags under his eyes. He's like a crackhead Noah Centineo, and it's just so distracting. But yeah, Josh was maybe one of the characters I just wasn't a fan of. Going forward a little bit, you get a nice scene where LJ and her little sister are watching the Golden Girls, which I appreciate. I grew up watching the Golden Girls. It's a weird thing for me to admit, but My main family sitcoms were Full House and The Golden Girls. Didn't watch Friends growing up. Didn't watch any of those Disney Channel stuff, but Golden Girls, man, that's where I was at. I sang along to this theme song, and I think the discussion while on the nose, the episode they pulled from where Betty White and all the other Golden Girls, I forget their names. It's been such a long time since I've seen it, but it fits well thematically where they're just arguing about, well, how many boys have you had? How many boyfriends have you had? Just so not really subtle, but just we're just gonna add on to the thematic stuff going on here. It works. Then we get introduced to LJ's best friend, who I think her name's Chrissy. She's funny. I like her a lot. Specifically, the scene that made me laugh with her is when she's talking to LJ's dad, and he's just, I guess he's a gynecologist, and she's just going, why the heck would they let you be a gynecologist? You are a dude, and this is your profession, and no one questions it. It's a funny little just brief thing she says before the scene starts. She serves as some fun comedic relief, although I will say I think the dynamic they missed out on was that I think they said in the beginning she's Jean's, the mean girl character. The mean girl character. She's the mean girl character's cousin. And I found that interesting. I thought they were going to do something with that where, I don't know, you see them at a family gathering or they have to hang out all the time. So they have to talk to each other, and that builds up either conflict or allows for some relationship building and relationship mending. It could have opened that up where, I don't know, LJ has to go to a family reunion or a family dinner with Chrissy, and I think her name's Jen or Jean. Her name's like Guinevere, like she's from the King Arthur mythos. But lead up to something like that where there would be a natural reason for LJ and Guinevere to be in the same room and be forced to talk about their differences, because it's always interesting when the mean girl and the main character of these rom-com coming-of-age movies were best friends when they were young, and then something happened to where the relationship broke apart. Although this something is just the most petty bullcrap where they're at a party, they play Spin the Bottle, and LJ has to kiss young Noah Centineo. And that's what ruins their relationship. A game, like a basic middle school, high school game. It's a little silly, and then that also just kind of goes nowhere. Guinevere basically just runs off. I think like the last scene with her is just her going off on, well, you kissed my boyfriend, da, 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 da. You started all this, and then she just runs out, and I don't think we see her again. Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, some of the side characters aren't the greatest, but I liked Chrissy. And she also, while they're running track, Noah Centineo comes up with the love letter, and this is when the whole plot kicks off. And the one random line that Chrissy had just threw me for a loop, where she just goes, "Oh yeah, you two can go ahead and talk. I'm gonna go inside and Google Justin Trudeau shirtless." Why him? Like I get different strokes for different folks, but Justin Trudeau, like literally out of anybody. And I get, like, if you're attracted to specifically political leaders, there's not a lot of attractive ones out there. But Justin Trudeau, that's the guy I'm gonna Google shirtless. Man, I guess she got over her, like, Chris Hemsworth, Chris Evans phase. Goodness. But yeah, that line threw me for a loop, and I don't know if I found it funny because it was trying to be funny, or if it was just so off-putting that it was just a brief line. But I kind of like just that random line of, yeah, I'm gonna go Google Justin Trudeau shirtless. But yeah, moving on from there, she kisses Noah Centineo because Josh is walking up because she doesn't want Josh to think that she likes him. And then I think that causes Noah and Genevieve to break up. So then he goes, well, then they think we're dating, so we might as well just try fake dating. And the scene where I think Noah comes to her house and she escapes through the window, the top window. It was either Noah or Josh. I don't remember. They look so similar. But they come to her house and she escapes. And it just, that's when I kind of noticed, like, this movie has a really good rhythm to the pacing of, like, the certain beats and the choreography that happens within the scene. I think just the way scenes flow, it flows really well, especially when it's just trying to be this, like, quirky, upbeat rom-com. It flows really well. I think it has nice comedic timing. It's just a movie you can really just have fun with, either from kind of a more ironic standpoint, or you can just sit back and enjoy teenagers being awkward, because I'm 2 years off of being in high school, and yeah, I mean, some people acted acted incredibly awkward like that, and one of them might have been me. Dadgummit. Well, everything got fixed except for the camera shutting off on us. Yep, so if you're listening audio, I went quiet for a second because the audio decided to shut off on me yet again. The camera did. Ugh, man, I gotta figure out how to fix that, but screw it, we're moving forward. I'm 30 minutes into it, and I'm pretty proud of myself that I've managed to talk about a Netflix rom-com for this long, because rom-coms are not my thing. I will say, though, I absolutely adore When Harry Met Sally. That is probably my favorite rom-com of all time. I've heard The Notebook's good, have not seen that. Just not a rom-com guy, and that's probably because I'm a single guy. Once I get a girlfriend, depending on who she is, I'm probably going to become a rom-com guy. But yeah, where was I? I don't know. I lost my train of thought because the camera decided to shut off on me yet again. I need to fix that. I apologize. I apologize to the people watching, and I apologize for getting sidetracked. I'm going to look over here, but apologize to getting sidetracked, audio listeners. But yeah, they pretend to date, and in my mind, I'm just going, this is not a great plan. I wish I could have, like, pulled up the Tony Stark clip. Just not a great plan. You know, that's just in my mind. That's what popped up, because I was like, I get you want to get back with your girlfriend, and I get that you want to come up with this half-brained scheme to make your girlfriend jealous. And if that was what your plan was, okay, fine. But when you're a high schooler and you're gonna pretend to be in a relationship with with a girl, like, if I'm a high school dude and I'm going to go, let's pretend to be in a relationship, you do realize where that typically goes. You're in high school, you're teenagers. I know you don't look like it. Both of you look like you're 25 years old, but you're pretending to be like your high schoolers. That's not a great plan. You two are going to end up together. And it's a rom-com, so obviously they are. But, you know, you got to get some sort of setup at some point. I like the hallucinations where she just starts hallucinating Josh and Noah and just talks to them. I wish that was a more consistent thing. It just kind of, I think Noah shows up as a hallucination and she just goes, oh, well, that's neat, and then we just never see the hallucinations again. There was the scene where they're in the hallway and she's talking to Josh and telling him everything, and I legitimately thought he was a hallucination, because it's just, she's spilling her guts to him without any build-up, so I'm going, oh, she's just hallucinating this. Noah's going to walk up and just go, who the heck are you talking to? But no, that he was real in that instance. So it's just, the boy hallucination was a fun touch that got abandoned like 30 minutes in. They write a contract, and that scene was a little fun, where they agree to a double feature of 16 Candles and Fight Club. That sounds like a fun combination. I have not seen 16 Candles, but now I kind of want to double feature 16 Candles and Fight Club. That sounds like a great date night for all you people who still haven't come up with plans for Valentine's Day. When we're dropping this episode, you'll have 2 days to set that up. You either go out and rent it or go out and buy it. I'm sure 16 Candles is a good movie because Sarah Johnson recommended it in her movie. Then after that, she has a Skype call with her sister. And I don't know, the vibe on that Skype call was a little weird to me, and I think it was just because they weren't in the same room, so they couldn't necessarily bounce off of each other. But it was just, that scene just felt like it was more of a, I'm going to say my line. Okay, you say your line. All right, I say my line. All right, you say your line. It felt a bit too unnatural to me, and that might just have been me. But it's like one scene. There's one Skype call, and it works, I guess, for what it's going. They go to the party, where I'd already talked about some of the events that happened there. But it was kind of funny. He just walks up and hands her a cup. She drinks it. She's like, wow, that's super vinegary. He goes, oh, yeah, that's kombucha. I'm like, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was just a cute little fun moment where it's just they have kombucha at this party. And, yeah, kombucha is just a weird drink, man. I've had it once. I kind of want to have it again, but it is super vinegary. I like just felt life leaving me with every breath I took drinking it, but dude, I felt amazing afterwards. So yeah, I don't know why I decided to bring that up. Any chance I get, I'm going to talk about the one instance I had kombucha and how I want to get some again. But yeah, Noah doesn't seem like he wants to be with Jen. They go to the coffee. There's a little forced exposition there. It's not like bad, but it was just kind of, she spills her guts about why she hasn't been in a relationship yet, which once again, it kind of hit home with me, I guess. Not necessarily her reasoning, but just kind of, yeah, you aren't really motivated to do that, to pursue a relationship, because you're just kind of scared of the future. But it was a nice little moment. She's like, yeah, I'm just scared they're going to run away. And then he goes, oh yeah, like your mom? I just go, she's just like, yeah, I'm just really afraid that they're going to come into my life, but then they can leave. And he's like your mom? And I'm like, what? Because it made it sound like her mom ran away or left the family, but so that the mom died. And I just go, you're really just going to randomly bring that up, try to go all psychiatrist on her. She goes, yeah, And he goes, it's like he realized, oh, crap, I just said something that was super dumb. So he just goes, well, yeah, my dad ran away from us, so he abandoned my family. I'm just go, man. Nice recovery, but wow, it's just like your dead mother. Like it was a little tone deaf in my opinion. But yeah, the scene with the cafeteria, King Bak, was a little annoying. He's just the type of actor, the type of comedian who, it's like a give or take type of thing, where he can be funny, but he can also be just incredibly annoying. If you watch the two Harry Potter, the two Babysitter movies, I really enjoy them. They are very much smutty. Oof, my mic level was off the chart. Let me fix that real quick. I'm sorry, but yeah, if you watch like the Babysitter movies, I want to keep calling it the Harry Potter, but the Babysitter movies. He can, like, some of his jokes can hit, but then some of them are just super annoying, and he just kind of rides that line. But in this movie, he's like in 4 scenes, but for the most part, he's just kind of there. But when he has to do something comedic, it's just not great. And then Josh comes up to the house, and I made the note that he seems like one of those nice guy archetypes, but then he also just seems like he's frustrated. But then you get to the third act, and he's kind of white knighting for LJ, and I'm like, that's a nice guy move. But then he just kind of walks off. He's just a weirdly inconsistent character, you know. Uh, let's see. The hallway argument, I brought that up. I like Chrissy or Chrissa or whatever her name was. I liked her. Then they go on this ski trip. I'm skipping all over this place. I didn't write down a summary of the plot, but they go to a ski trip for their school, and I was just sitting there going, like, my high school was a pretty big one. We were pretty well funded. We didn't go to no ski trip. I want to go to a ski trip. Shoot, man. But the ski trip sequence was fine. It was where LJ just finally realizes, oh, I think I like Noah now. Noah Centineo goes, oh, I kind of like LJ now, and it was kind of a nice realization where there was a nice little gag where she's talking to Lucas, and Lucas is like, oh yeah, he's probably just sitting in the hot tub for you. She is like, really? You think he is? And it's just a little cut, and I find it humorous. I don't know if it was intentionally humorous. I just go, oh yeah, he's in the hot tub, isn't he? But that scene was a little sweet, and it also, I made a note here where it's just the hot tub scene was just like done very classily, you know. If this was like Riverdale, I've seen 3 seasons of Riverdale. Man, I'm embarrassed to admit that crap more than I am to talk about this movie, but I've seen 3 seasons of Riverdale. If they had a hot tub scene, they would be having like Archie take his shirt off, and it would just be slow with the basic pop music, and it's just, this one was just classy because it was just focused on the moment between the 2 characters. They kiss, and that's it. You know, it didn't have to get too into it. It didn't feel like it was exploiting it, and that just kind of tells me that this is more of a place of passion rather than, oh, we got to appeal to the kids, we got to appeal to our target demographic. It was just, we just want to have a nice moment that culminates their 2 relationships. And then we get into the third act. Oh man, I hate these kinds of third act where it's just a forced misunderstanding that forces the characters to have conflict. It's literally just, oh yeah, he came to my room last night. Jen tells LJ that Noah Centineo went into a room last night, or the night before, and yeah, she has LJ's scrunchie. And LJ just immediately goes, oh, I can't believe you would cheat on me like that. And then suddenly the video of her and Noah Centineo in the hot tub gets leaked. And then suddenly, like, that's a big thing. She thinks Noah Centineo had something to do with it. And she just suddenly becomes so untrusting of this guy. And I get, like, she's new to relationships and she's scared to enter into one. But you gotta cut the guy some slack. You've known him for a while. And because the girl who is a known liar and a known manipulator and a known mean girl just says something to you and has your scrunchie, you just don't even question anything that happened with that. And it's so forced. And then she goes home, and suddenly it's a Christmas movie. We got jingle bells and all that kind of stuff. So now we're in a Christmas movie. Her older sisters come back home. They have a nice little dinner. Noah Centineo shows up to try to explain things, which, I mean, I guess if that's the way you want to do it, you can. You could have just called her, but sometimes it's good to do things face to face. So good on him for trying to own up to stuff and just explain everything, because you don't want to ruin this relationship. And she doesn't even give him the chance to explain, which always bugs me when that kind of stuff happens, where it's literally all he has to do is say, she stole the scrunchie at the party, and I went over to her room to end things officially. That's all he has to say. And he can't get it out because she's sitting here going, no, I can't believe you do. Shut up. I can't believe you did this, blah, blah, blah. And it's very annoying to me. It's just, like, all the guy has to do is just say, listen to me for one moment. That is like literally just literally just say, just let me explain. And even if she gets hysterical, you gotta just deal with it. You gotta say, look, here's this, or just write it down, give her a note. Like, you just have to say one sentence, but you can't. The characters can't get it in because everyone's just going hysterical. Suddenly, Josh, the nosy neighbor, just shows up and he's like, "Hey, bro, she told you to leave." It's like, bro, where the crap did you come from? You just come out of nowhere, and you're just like, "I'm gonna defend my neighbor. Yeah, I'm a tough guy. I'm pretty much a shriveled up version of you, but I can take you. I can take you." And then Noah said to me and goes, "Oh, really? This guy?" As if like, I don't know, she suddenly started a relationship with him even though he just randomly showed up. And then she doesn't even say anything. She just like kind of looks at him like, "Yeah, I'm with him now." Oh, you didn't even talk to this man. He just showed up on your front lawn. You should be like, "Josh, what the heck are you doing up in here getting in my business?" And then suddenly her older sister walks in. As soon as Josh was like, "Oh, well, you said you loved me, blah blah blah," and then she goes, "Oh, what? You loved my ex-boyfriend?" And she runs inside, and then LJ tells both of them to leave, and Josh is like, "Oh my gosh, your older sister was here." It's just this whole crap show of this could have literally been easily avoided if someone just said something. Like one sentence would have fixed this all. But instead it's forced misunderstandings, that then leads to a nice happy conclusion like 20 minutes later. It's a forced third act thing, and that was really where I just lost so much interest, because it was just, that argument was so unnecessary and super cringy. I'm going to use that word. It was cringy. But she finds out that her sister, her little sister, was the one who mailed the letters. That's a cute little moment where it's just, while they sit down on the bed, they're all like confessing their feelings and that kind of stuff, and it's a nice little moment. And the little sister goes, "Yeah, I was the one who mailed the letters," and she just looks at her sister and goes, "I'm gonna kill you." And it's a nice little cute scene to kind of give us some levity from the crap show we just witnessed. But yeah, the rest of it's just kind of basic stuff. Besides like the conversation between LJ and her dad at the diner is really well done. I think it carried that necessary amount of emotional weight. And then the confrontation with the mean girl was just kind of dumb. Everything in that third act except for that conversation with the dad was just not great, in my opinion. I didn't like it. It didn't really resonate with me. And then by the time the credits rolled, I realized that sister subplot was kind of pointless, because she was there, left for Ireland, came back, only to basically just go have a brief bit of conflict with her sister over her ex-boyfriend, and then going, "I forgive you. Now it's time for you to forgive other people. All right, I'm heading back to Ireland." I think she's in Ireland, Scotland, that general area. I think it was Scotland, now that I think about it. But I'm going to go back to the UK. And it's just, she shouldn't have been there. Josh shouldn't have been there. It was just extra pointless conflict in the end. But, the last scene was fine. It was fun. Like, it was a little cute little moment. And all in all, if I were to describe the movie, cute would be the word for it. Just, it's a cute little fun movie. And I had fun with it. It made me chuckle a little bit, and I had a smile on my face up until the third act. It's a cute movie. It's fine. It's harmless, and I think it carries a good message about carpe diem, seize the day. Don't waste time fantasizing about stuff or imagining what could have been. Pursue what your heart desires, and don't be afraid to take risks. I mean, that was just kind of the overall message I got from it. It's a good message wrapped up in a cute little fun rom-com bow. Am I going to watch the second one? 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100% I mean, normally I wouldn't, but but I need something to talk about next year on Valentine's Day, so I'll probably watch it then and hopefully either have Brock on if he's available or have a friend on so I'm not rambling for 45 minutes. It has been 45 minutes and I have talked about a rom-com. Noah Centineo rom-com. Yeah. I guess to conclude like we did Iron Man, is this cinema? I guess it depends on your definition of cinema. If you're Martin Scorsese, I don't know if you would call this cinema, but I think it was enjoyable enough compared to something like Iron Man. Iron Man has a lot of thematic depth to it that I think is lacking here. There's not a lot of thematic cohesiveness. It's just a simple, fun rom-com movie, and that's really all it needs to be. So is it cinema? I mean, technically, yes. So, technically, it's cinema. Is it a good movie? It's solid. I'm going to probably start doing ratings. So, quantify my enjoyment of this. I would give it I'm going to mimic Anthony Fantano. If you don't know who that is, I guess look him up. But I'd give it a solid to strong 6 out of 10. It's a fun movie. It's a fun movie. It's just not, that last part just killed it for me. And rom-coms just in general aren't my thing. But yeah, that was I completely forgot the title of it. To All the Boys I Loved Before. Solid movie, solid cinema. It was cinema, and you know what that means. That was a horrible transition, but this has been the Cinema Lounge I can't talk tonight, and that is fine. But this is the Cinema Lounge podcast. I am your host, Garrett, and I am signing out. See you next week. Check us out on Spotify and YouTube. I love you. Good night.